Have you ever wondered what happens to an unopened bag of blueberries when a freezer stops freezing? The answer will probably not surprise you.
I drove alone on a dark and windy road with zero cell service. And what did I do? Think of all the horror movie scenarios. I think I need to get my head checked.
Well, it is hot, hot, hot here in LA with no signs of slowing. So what do? Order piping hot ramen for dinner. Lean in, Heather. Lean the heck in.
Wow, Sarah. The most middle-aged thing I did this week was waste half a day perusing boutique gardening websites. Leaning in, baby.
I've been there. Have such a good day. Hello, world. Welcome back to Have Such a Good Day.
The show that wants you to do just that. We're coming in hot, y'all.
We are coming in hot physically and mentally.
Seriously, Sarah, I haven't washed my face. I haven't had coffee.
I have not washed my face today. I'm drinking tea. Yeah. I actually,
Yeah.
okay, so hi everyone. If you're joining us for the first time, we're going to be real weird today. So that's fun.
But this is the show that unpacks the absurdity of everyday life, so it actually works out. We've got a lot of tasty morsels here.
It's been absurd.
Today.
It's been absurd.
It's already been absurd, and it's not even 8 o'clock.
It's episode 246 of our Here Little Show, and we chug along each week. We love to have everyone along for the ride. And it's a cornucopia of hot messes.
It is.
That's
and
what
you
it
know what,
is.
Sarah? You're going to love this. I just felt like Googling 246 this morning. Like, what's the significance of this here number? It said, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
246 is an untouchable number.
What does that mean?
I
mean,
know.
It's
I was
divisible
like,
by
that
2, 4, and
sounds-
6.
That sounds so cool, like so mysterious. And I also found out in my research that 2024 is also untouchable. So it's basically an untouchable number is a positive integer that is not the sum of the proper divisors of any number. So the first few untouchable numbers are 2, 5, 52, 88, 96. I remember learning about this in school, but it's all quite convoluted and complicated unless you're like a real mathematician. But I find it fascinating that there's this whole language of numbers out there that like it's like a deep language.
I mean, I can see 5 being untouchable, but 88, I'm like, yeah, like that's divisible by lots of stuff. Yeah, 2. Well, I guess because 2 is just, I mean, all you get is if you take 1 away from 2, you get 1. I don't know. Yeah,
it's crazy. Fun. So, and it also says it's a pernicious number because its binary representation contains a prime number. Pernicious, I always use that word a lot, like in the garden. When like, you're talking about ivy or a weed is pernicious, but I never knew you could apply it to a number. So like, I definitely learned something new today.
Right. I know. Didn't know numbers, had their own kind of, their own jam. Yeah. Their own vibe.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I love learning. It can be as early as 8 in the morning. I love learning new things.
Well, I hate learning, Heather. I don't want to learn shit, okay? I am smart as I need to be, and my brain is full. Sometimes I actually do feel that way, but no, I know what you mean. I love stuff like that. Even if it's like, oh, this is useless knowledge.
Yeah,
it's
totally
still
useless.
Something that you got in your back pocket, at a dinner party. You could, be like, hey, do you know what the most pernicious number is?
Or I'm like, yeah, this number? We can't touch this. Can't touch it.
It's untouchable. Yeah. Try to touch it. You can't. There's a wall around it, like a force field.
So speaking of being untouchable, Sarah, you had quite a doozy of a week, as from what I could tell from here. Do you want to tell us about
I don't know
this?
If that makes me maybe an untouchable person as far as fun goes.
So.
Yeah. So let me lay it down for everybody. So this has been a doozy of a week, and I say that often, but this was one
Sarah
for the books.
Doozy Lane.
So Sarah Doozy Lane, yeah, that's what they call me around the hood. But okay, so last weekend, we're recording this on a Friday, so just under a week ago, I noticed that my fridge My refrigerator in my kitchen. You know, I'm a renter, so I mean, this is not like my fridge, but the fridge in my kitchen, which is a very nice fridge. The front display, you know, where you like get like ice and water out of the front. The display was just like flashing a weird error thing. It was like -283. And, you know, I was just kind of like, I don't know what that is, whatever. You know, sometimes I trip, the electricity in my kitchen if I like use too many appliances at once, and I was just like, oh, it's just one of these things. So I didn't pay attention to it. And a day or so went by, and you know, I'm in and out of my fridge, but I was kind of empty. Like I needed to go grocery shopping. So I wasn't like in the kitchen all that much. I was like, I need to go grocery shopping before the weekend's over. And so I go grocery shopping on a Sunday, and you know, I've seen this error for a couple of days now, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like, do I pull the fridge out and like unplug it and plug it back in, which I did eventually, but at first I just kind of ignored it. And I didn't notice that my fridge had actually died, because for a while, when a fridge is, you know, closed and the freezer is closed, the cool doesn't just go away immediately. You know, when your power goes out, sometimes it's like, don't open the fridge, you know, keep everything in there and don't open it so that the, you know, hot air gets into the fridge. Like, you know, let it stay as cool as possible. But I didn't realize that. So I go grocery shopping, and I mean, I really go grocery shopping. I had eaten myself all out of the fridge and really my pantry in general. So it was like, you know, $200 worth of mostly perishable food. Some of it is like, you know, just dry pasta and stuff like that. But it was vegetables and eggs and yogurt and my alternative milk and kimchi and just things that need to be refrigerated, and meat and fish. Yeah, like I was like, I am good for like a couple weeks. You know, I am really, you know, I'm just gonna cook and just, you know, lean in to the kitchen. So I get back, put all the stuff in the fridge. I still somehow don't notice that it's not really cold anymore. Because you know, when you're putting groceries in your fridge, you're just kind of doing it real quick. Like just get everything in there, and then, you know, I don't need to eat right now. I'll do that later. But I noticed at the time, I was like, I don't know, something's kind of funky in the fridge. Something seems kind of funky in the fridge, but there's nothing really in here. I don't know what it would be. So I just was like, whatever. And then the next day, I realized what's going on. The fridge is now warm. The freezer, I don't even open because I'm too afraid. Because I have all sorts of stuff in my freezer. Just, you know, for a rainy day, it's like I got chicken in there. I got, you know, prawns, a variety of frozen fruit, some frozen vegetables, yada, yada, yada. So I'm like, oh, crap. Oh, my gosh. The fridge is dead. What do I do? So, yeah, I like unplug it, plug it back in. I look on the internet, you know, trying to figure out what this error means. And there are YouTube videos about that particular, it was a Samsung fridge. So F you, Samsung. And there are videos like showing you how to like, and it's very unintuitive. Like you have to like press these 3 buttons for 4 seconds at the same time to like reset it somehow. And then, you know, that didn't work. And then there are other people saying like, well, it's a compressor thing, which I don't understand because I don't know how fridges work. I just know that you plug them in and then they make things cold. So it was, you know, it was dire straits at that point because I'm like, well, I have this food in here now. Oh man. You know, so I get a hold of my landlord and he's sort of like, I don't know. All right, well, let me, you know, try to figure something out. Like, do you know any, like a plumber? And I'm like, not really.
He doesn't know a plumber? What?
Well, I think he was thinking that if I were to get a hold of somebody and they came directly to me, somehow that would like erase a step in the process. Because I was pretty upset at this point. You know, I was kind of like, oh, this is bad. And I won't belabor the smell part of this, but it went from me being like, something smells kind of funny to, oh dear, something smells really bad in my house. Like and the whole house was starting to smell outside. Like rotten meat.
Does not help.
Right. Right. And it's like, you know, at that point, I'm like, well, I have to keep the windows open. You know, like shutting the house down and running the AC just feels like unhealthy for me. So let's just like keep all the windows open, fan going, and hope for the best. So a couple guys come over. I guess it's the following day, and they're, just trying to look and see what's wrong with the fridge. And they're here for a while. And there's two of them, and they've got a drill. I'm sequestered in the office with my animals, just like, let me know if you need me.
Yeah.
It won't help for me to hover. My kitchen is also kind of, the entryway to the kitchen is pretty narrow. So it's like, you don't have room for 3 people in the kitchen at the same time. So eventually they're like, hey, we don't really know what the problem is. And even if we were to like take apart the fridge and figure it out, this fridge is circa 2011 and it's like not worth fixing.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, 2011 was not that long ago.
How long do
and
they
they're
normally
like,
last?
but these,
like 10
well,
years,
they're
maybe?
like, these fridges, you're lucky if you get 10 years, sometimes less than that. And I'm like, well, that sucks. Okay. I don't know. I mean, I've definitely lived in apartments with very old fridges before, and I'm like pretty sure they've been running longer than 10 years. But I think it's a lot of the newer models that are really great for a while, and then one part breaks, and it's just that to replace the part.
Yeah, totally.
And figure out the issue is going to be more intensive than just getting a new unit.
For sure.
So they leave. I say to my landlord, all right, well, we're effed. At this point, I'm like, living in a rotten food house. and he's like, all right, well, get everything out of the fridge, and the freezer, obviously, and I will order a new fridge and I'll have it delivered ASAP, which he did. I mean, he didn't do anything. He did everything as quickly as he could from his side, for sure. He has me like measure the fridge just to make sure that he doesn't order a fridge that won't fit into that relatively small cubby in the kitchen. And so that's happening, but like the fridge isn't going to be delivered for the next couple of days. That's just how it works. They couldn't come like that day. And so at that point, I'm like, all right, well, my job is now to get everything out of this fridge. There's like a couple of salvageable things. There's like a jar of capers that I never opened that were on a shelf, not refrigerated at the store when I bought them. And I'm like, I guess they're fine, right? If the jar had been opened, that would have been different. And there were a couple things like that, but everything else had to go. And the freezer I was most worried about, and I had not opened it because I knew what was in there, meat and fish, seafood, and just, ugh. So I finally open it, and Heather, I mean, to say I was dry heaving is an understatement.
Oh, boy.
And that is like, I'm usually, I can just breathe out of your mouth, that kind of thing. And it was the worst. And one of my, I had several packages of unopened berries, but one of them, which was not opened before, just like exploded. Like it like got so hot that it just like blew up. So there's just berry juice, covering like 2 inches of the bottom of the freezer. Just like dark blueberry juice.
God.
And I'm like, I don't even think I'm going to bother with that. I'm just going to, because the fridge is going, like it's like recycled at this point. No one is using this fridge ever again. So I get everything out, I tell my downstairs neighbor who shares garbage bins with me, I'm like, I am so sorry. The garbage bins are in real bad shape right now because my entire fridge is in there. And, like in even hotter heat than, what it was in my kitchen. So just so you know, proceed with caution and I will take the trash out this week. And she was like, oh God, sorry. So anyway, new fridge comes and they take away the old fridge all the way down my front stairs, which is it's a flight of stairs, wooden stairs. They're very nice stairs. The fridge leaks blueberry juice all the way down, as they're taking the fridge out, which I don't see because I'm just like, again, like hiding in the office, kind of just trying to keep Otis out of the way. And then they install the new fridge, and as they install it, they're like, "We've never seen any hookup like this in the back. Like, how does this even work?" And I'm like, "I don't even know how to answer that question. Can't you just plug it in?" And they're like, "No, we can plug in the fridge, but like the water line, it doesn't make sense to us. We don't want to fuss with it because it's just, it's sort of beyond our pay grade." And I'm like, it's fine. If the fridge works, I can just drink tap water out of the sink, and I'll figure that out. Thank you so much. They leave, and then they leave like without closing my front door. So I'm going down, about to go down the stairs to close the house back up, and I talk about like thinking of horror movies, Heather. I turn the corner, and it looks like there's blood all over my stairs.
Totally.
Because it's the blueberry juice. But like the light wasn't on, and I was like, oh my God. Like I just watched The Shining last week. Yeah. Like, did somebody bleed out? I realized, it's the stupid fruit. So I clean it up. It's all good. It wasn't there that long. Nothing stained. Then I tell my landlord, like, this is what's going on. I think my life won't end after all, but we still have to figure out the water line. And he's like, I don't even know. Like, I don't know how that works. I'm like, I don't either. So he's got a plumber that he sends over that's supposed to come over today at 7:30 a.m. And my landlord says to me beforehand, "I'm sorry, I know that's early. Is that too early?" And I said, "Nah, it's okay. I get up early. It'll be okay." 7:30. So at 7, the guy comes, and I'm up, but I'm like barely up. Like, I'm not dressed. Like my animals haven't eaten yet. Like I haven't eaten. Like nothing has happened yet. So it's kind of like, and he sort of like unapologetically is like, "I'm here," and I'm like, "Oh, I thought you were coming at 7:30, but okay, you're here. Let's do this." Luckily, that part of it was easy. He was like, "I have no idea what these guys are talking about. All you do is just like," and he's like trying to, how sometimes repair people will be like, "Let me show you what I'm doing," so that you know for the future. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's have a lesson about fridges, okay.
Boy.
So we're in there, and he's like behind the fridge, like can barely fit, and like trying to tell me about like how valves work, and I'm like, just as long as it works, it's fine. So anyway, all is well. A working fridge is good. There's like 2 things in there because I had to throw out everything else. I will be going grocery shopping later today. And we're going to go ahead and reboot our lives.
I like this. Put it behind you.
Yeah, it was mayhem. It's okay. But I mean, I was like sort of like having a meltdown just a few days ago.
No pun intended.
As you know. Right. Ha. Yeah. I actually didn't intend that. See, I'm a poet. I don't even know it. And just kind of like, God, of all the things, on top of everything, sometimes it's such bad timing. And I considered trying to like talk to my landlord about getting a refund on the food that I bought. But I talked to a friend about it, and he was like, Sarah, he didn't tell you to go grocery shopping.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, it's not really, it's bad timing, but it's not really something I would push to get a refund on. It sounds a little petty.
I guess it's called like sunken costs, it just happens.
Yeah, chalk it up to the game. Yeah. So anyway, life is good. New fridge is good.
Nice. Is it one of those ones that you can put, is it stainless steel, or can you put like photographs with magnets? Because I'm always like, I love the stainless steel, but then you can't put photographs on it. I always like to do that.
Well, the new ones let you.
Oh, really? Okay.
The new ones let you. Yeah. In fact, what's funny is my old fridge, the 2011 fridge, which was a very nice fridge. I mean, arguably kind of nicer than this one, just in style. It didn't let you put magnets on the front either. And I hadn't seen that in a while. I was like, oh, I thought we were over this, but I didn't realize how old the fridge was. This fridge, it's all magnetized. So
yeah,
we'll
ours
see.
is, you can't put them on the front, but you can put them on the side, but there's like barely any side showing. So I have like two magnets like on the side that you can barely see. But I like that. I like having my
that was
pictures
how
up
the
there.
old fridge was too. I had my little collage sort of hidden. If you wanted to really look at it like from a certain angle. Although I will say, and especially because my kitchen is, it's a lovely little kitchen, but it's not big. So I kind of liked when I first moved in with the old fridge. I was like, oh, magnets don't work on the front, only the side. Yeah, and one side is completely just against the wall. So there was really, I mean, you know. And I was sort of like, oh, that sucks, because I love a fridge with, pictures and just various things. I don't know, just stuff.
It's fun.
But then I kind of got used to that nice uniform look. Because a fridge can look kind of messy with a bunch of stuff,
Agreed.
All over the front. And so I'm kind of like, maybe I won't put anything on the front. I don't know. It remains to be seen. I mean, I've only had the fridge for like a day.
Yeah, well, it's exciting to end a week on a high note. I think you're not the only one that had a strange week. No, I've been reading my Substacks and various things from, friend group chats. And I think it's been kind of a strange week for a lot of people. And then last night I noticed when I went to bed, it was really bright out. And I thought the moon was full. It looked almost full, at least. So I looked at my little moon app. And it's about, it's close. It's getting there. But I always feel like a little bit of extra restlessness around like a full moon. I mean, there's something to it. If they affect the waves, they probably affect us. So yeah, but it's funny, like, I don't know if you do this, Sarah, but like, or if y'all out there do this ever, but like when you feel weird or you're having like a weird day or weird week and you're just like feeling off, like trying to find something to blame, like the full moon or your period.
Oh yeah, Mercury in retrograde.
Like,
oh my gosh, that's my favorite
the best one. Yeah, but really it's your own fault. But sometimes you kind of have to really go like, why am I feeling this way? Like, what is causing this? And earlier this week, I had this like really intense restlessness, like a newfound restlessness that, look, I've been restless in my life. I am a Sagittarius, whatever that means. I am somebody who
is that a trait?
I know how much you love astrology. I threw that in just for you, Sarah. No. It's just that I tend to be a person who, like it's not that I can't sit still, because I can. It's just that I think after a certain period of time that's quiet, I need a little activity. I need a little excitement. I need to like be with people and, talk to people and just be out in the world. And I've just noticed I have this like totally aggressive restlessness living in the country. I just don't know if I'm really a country person. And I think I just get these, after 6 weeks of having this kind of staid life, I get really restless. And the problem is there's really nowhere to go from here. That's the issue that I'm having. And so it was basically Monday and the forecast looked very cold and not summery. And so I was feeling really cranky about that. And I was like, I got to get some sunshine. And so I looked at Google Maps. I like did a whole, like I went into where I live and out like several hours in every direction to see where I could go within a couple hours. Where could I just go for like a day trip, and get some sun, or like spend one night, something just quick. Like I just, I didn't have, it was a good week for me to go somewhere because like the bills, usually mid-month is way better for me than the first of the month or the end of the month. I wouldn't have been able to leave. But I was also just sort of restless about just, not having a lot of that busy work, even though, of course, when I leave, everyone calls and there's a million things that fall apart because that's just what happens, the law of physics. But yeah, so I was like on the Google Maps, I was like trying to be really smart about it. I was like, where could I go that wouldn't be a super long drive? There is nowhere unless you want to go hike the Sierras, or you want to go rafting, or you want to go mountain climbing. I mean, it's all very outdoorsy. There's no place that I could go that I'd feel comfortable in the middle of the woods. Everywhere is just very woodsy here. That's just where it is. in every direction. And so it's like there's nowhere that is honestly under 3 hours that I wanted to go where I could like, be with people and just kind of like have a different like change of scenery, because everything's sort of the same scenery here. So I was like, God, okay, I got to drive 3.5 hours. That was sort of like what I had determined math wise. I was like, I'm going to have to go farther. And I didn't want to, because I was just doing this huge road trip 6 weeks ago, and it was a lot of driving.
You've been on the road a lot.
No, tell me about it. Yeah. Trust me. I was annoyed with myself on this trip because I was so restless that I threw stuff in a bag. I barely even packed properly and just was out the door. I left like all kinds of things. And I just had to get out. I can't explain it. And so it was like a 3.5, 4 hour drive. I went through Mendocino. I took the coastal route because I was like, I haven't been to Mendocino in like 10 years, maybe more. I don't even really remember it. Let me just drive through it. And on my way,
I couldn't tell you when.
Yeah, and I didn't want to drive super far, and that ended up tacking on like another probably a couple hours of like really curvy roads, like curvy to the point where like if I'm driving, I don't get car sick, but I was feeling nauseous and car sick driving. They're like hairpin turns for like an hour. Yeah. And I was like, God, what am I doing? Like, why did I do this? And it was, I was still just kind of like trying to get to my destination and just trying to take a deep breath, and I ended up in a place called Boonville, which I've been before. I used to actually spend a lot of time with my dad there. And
yeah, I remember you would do not an annual trip, but like an occasional trip, like a family trip.
Because it was halfway. It was between, I think at the time I lived in, LA or San Francisco, and he lived up here. So it was like kind of this halfway point. And there's this adorable hotel. It's like they call it kind of a roadhouse hotel. It's kind of funky, but like they have these little casitas, and they're not. It's not fancy, but it's very cozy and sweet, and
it's like an upgraded motel. I know the type.
And they have this awesome backyard with a garden. It's really well kept and very, 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 very cute. I love it. It's just so charming. And I got a little casita. I really just needed, I needed some sunshine, and I knew that Boonville was going to be in, the mid 70s, 80s, kind of perfect, it was perfect weather. And so yeah, this restlessness, it helped to get out. I needed to sort of clear my head, and I was chasing the sun, honestly. Like, I just was desperate. I'm like, I got to get out of the fog, I mean, look, we live on the coast. What do I expect? It gets foggy, and
and especially in the northern area of California where you are. I mean, it's beautiful and green for a reason.
Exactly.
It's foggy and it rains a lot.
And this is sort of like I'm everything's coming to a head for me, and this is why I think I have this restlessness. It's just like, what is my next move? Because it's hard to live here full time, and I don't know what it looks like to not. So I'm really struggling with that, and I know that it's a champagne problem. But it's still an issue that I need to figure out, because it's starting to like affect me a lot. I need, I need to shake it up a little bit. Anyway, this trip was great, and nobody was at the hotel. I was like by myself. It was amazing. And they bring breakfast to your, you get like a free breakfast, and in the little, reservation booking, it's like, we offer a very small breakfast. And I get this tray in the morning that's like, homemade granola with like yogurt and strawberries, and then I get like a scone, like literally like they baked the scone homemade in the morning, like that kind of thing, and a huge pot of amazing coffee.
That doesn't sound like a small breakfast.
And
that sounds
a boiled egg,
like a hearty breakfast.
Boiled egg. I mean, no, there was more than that. It was just like there was fresh squeezed apple juice from like there's an apple farm up the road. This place called Philo Apple Farm. It's a cute area. I mean, it's pretty dead down there too. Here's the thing that I realized, it's not like I'm going to the city. I'm still 2 hours away from San Francisco going to Boonville. However, there's a level of activity there that I don't have up here. And
right.
even though there's like one restaurant that's open, because Boonville itself is super tiny. I mean, it's a little like landing strip of like a few things. But I walk across the street. It's actually a restaurant that opened 6 months ago that's owned by the hotel. So it's all like, I mean, I hate to use the term farm to table, but it is very, very fresh, yummy, simple food. It's not fancy. It's that like, it's like my favorite kind of food.
Yeah.
And went over there, cute little restaurant, went there 2 nights in a row because where else am I going to go? And I sat at the bar by myself and totally got to know like the bartender, and like we were totally hanging.
I mean, that sounds like heaven.
This is what
me.
I'm talking about. This is what I miss. I don't have this here. I just don't. I don't have that kind of thing here. And you know me, I'm a social, I can be a very social butterfly. And I love, you and I used to sit at wine bars all the time and get to know the bartenders from San Francisco to LA, all across the world. And for me, it was just so nice. It was just so simple and nice and easy. And then the bartender is like, the first night it was pretty dead. And she's serving me, having me try all these Amaros, just like these aperitifs and, vermouth. And it was so fun. And I was by myself and it was quiet. I went on a hike in the local, it was like a state park, and it was really quiet and everything was really quiet and it was really, really nice. I worked a lot, actually. I sat outside in the sun, soaked it up, and just worked like during the day. And yeah, it was just chill. So I do feel better. I mean, it was a really long drive home. I was kind of cursing myself a little bit. I can't explain it, Sarah. You haven't been up here. And it's when people come to visit, they're like, oh my God, you can't leave. It's so beautiful. But that's a person's opinion being here once out of a whole year or many years. And it's like so special when you're here. But it's so far. And when you drive up here, it makes you crazy because you feel like you're going past the sound barrier and you're going past this redwood curtain, and it's just it's long. It's very, very long and very far.
It's far. So it's secluded.
It's making me crazy.
Now, when I lived, and we've talked about this before, when I lived in Forestville, which is in Sonoma County, also Northern California, but nowhere near as far north as what Heather is talking about, even I felt that way. It was so beautiful, truly. I mean, it's like redwood trees and, vineyards and wine country. And at the same time, it's the country. Now, that is way closer to San Francisco. Like if I want to go to Neiman Marcus, is Neiman Marcus even around anymore? I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like if I want to it's an hour. Well, it's a little bit more than an hour kind of thing. But
I could handle that.
That was easy.
Like at least you're a hop,
yeah.
skip, and a
I was
jump
also
to the city.
next to, Santa Rosa is let's call it a mid-sized
You can do all your
city.
stuff there.
But there's like everything that you want there. But even then, I remember sometimes being like, I'm going a little stir crazy here, but I feel bad because I'm so lucky. Look at how beautiful this is. Like people would kill to live here.
I feel bad complaining about it. But like literally there's Sarah, there is like no services. I mean, there's nothing. It's wild. It's not
it's a place to write like the great American novel.
Exactly.
But
I mean, Thomas Pynchon wrote a book up here. I'm just hearing this from this agent that I'm working with in LA who's a huge Pynchon fan, and P.T. Anderson was up here recently. I've mentioned this on the show, shooting a movie based on a Pynchon novel. But I found out from this guy that he rented a cabin up the road. I actually almost thought it was ours because I was like, well, wait, in Trinidad, like on the coast, maybe it was my dad. I don't know. But it's a woman I know just up the road who rented it to him, and I'm hoping I'll run into her so I can talk to her about it. But yeah, no, that's exactly right. It's like, and look, it's like it's a great place to come for part of the year or a quarter of the year. It's So
yeah, full time. I mean, we talk about it on the show, and I obviously know, I pretty much know where you are at all times of the day, just because you and I talk on the back channel too. But I get it. I get that, somewhere that's beautiful and idyllic is not 100% that
and
ever.
Maybe it's just vacation.
Even if it is,
people come here for vacation.
Even it's like it's if there's a stimulation that you don't have, you start to feel like I want to leave, and then you feel bad about wanting to leave. This is completely different, obviously, because all beaches in LA County, in Southern California in general, are they're packed. You have to go up to like Big Sur in order to sort of feel like you're in the woods.
Exactly.
Well, I guess that's not true, but you know what I mean. LA itself is the beach vibe here is like city beach.
It is,
and that's fun. Yeah, that's fun in its own way. It's not really. LA beaches aren't really that beautiful. They're
except
flat.
for maybe Malibu.
Malibu. Yeah, when you go to Malibu, it's different. But the beaches are it's like beach culture. That's what you get. It's not like when I lived up in Sonoma County, the beach that was closest to me, it was a straight shot west, and you've never seen anything so beautiful.
And
it's
that's
just
the way it is
gorgeous.
here. It is so
beautiful. Like cliffs, and it's dramatic, and rocks, and all that stuff. But it's not like 90210 beach life at all.
I'm just
not
looking
even
for something in between. Like I don't need full city,
something in between,
full country. It's very extreme, Anyway, enough about that. I know that we talk about this ad nauseum, but it is what's going on in our lives, and we're hoping that in some sense you guys can relate.
Yeah. The restlessness, I think we can all relate to that.
So too.
Especially, I feel that where I live right now. I have lived in this apartment for just over 7 months, and part of me feels like I moved in yesterday. Yeah. Even though I've been here for a while, and there's so many things I like about it. My apartment itself, I love. Besides the fridge debacle, which is just like shit happens, I love this apartment. It's really too much apartment for one person. Sometimes I walk around like, why do I live in such a large apartment? But I'm used to just smaller spaces. Yeah. So I have to remind myself like, I'm allowed to have some space. Like this is cool. But what I don't have is a backyard.
Very urban.
My neighborhood it's very urban, and I like that. But for example, yesterday I was like, I need to go on a hike. And my neighborhood, you can't hike around here because there aren't any hills. It's also flat. I'm like, I have like a thing with flat is fine, but like, give me a hill. I need a hill.
I'm the same. I think it's the San Francisco.
And so, we drove over to, our favorite loop that we do once or twice a week, and it's not that far. It's not that big a deal. But I don't walk out of my house and go on a hike. I would like to do that, and I did do that when I was in the country at my last place. Every single walk you took was actually a hike because there are hills and you're in the woods. So, and that used to bother me too, because I'd be like, God, I wish there was just like stores.
I know. And there's no, the grass
like
is always greener, and honestly, there's no perfect place.
Yeah.
And that is the truth. And the thing is
that
once
is
I go to this next place, I'm going to nitpick about the things that don't work for me. And I'm never going to find like a Shangri-La. I just want like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, like, together, like, can I do a little bit of both? But anyway, speaking of restlessness, I just had an almost major accident with my cat. He gets super cuddly when I'm, doing the show, and he's up in my lap. You should have seen it,
Your
Sarah.
Podcast voice is so soothing.
I know, that's right. And he almost, I thought he was going to speak into the mic because I had him propped up on my lap, and he's just squirming around. My computer almost fell over. My coffee almost while you were talking. I'm surprised you didn't notice it.
Oh, I did. I just ignored it. Because I was like, if I draw attention, it'll only fuel his fire. Ralphie did the same thing. He did. He's been vocal lately, and he is a pretty vocal cat anyway. And he has, how some cats have like a cute like meow, meow. That's not Ralphie. Ralphie's like just like Rachel from Pet Sematary. Like he really has He has a very bad voice. I'm sorry, Ralphie. I'm telling everybody that's just how it is. Good thing you're so cute.
Speaking
otherwise,
of cats, Sarah, but, we don't usually break news on our show. We're not a breaking news show. Well, I don't know if we're breaking it, but this is actually big news, Sarah. I don't know if you heard this story. It was big in my kind of friend group thread this week. Did you know that Hello Kitty is not a cat?
I did.
You did know this.
I did. But I only learned this a couple of years ago after thinking that she was a cat.
So basically she's not. She's actually a little girl who was born and raised in the suburbs of London. And she has a mom and a dad and a twin sister named Mimi, who's also her best friend. And she actually has a pet cat of her own called Charmy Kitty. So yeah, for me, I didn't know this. I just always assumed she was a cat. I mean, Hello Kitty, I just assumed, and I've been a huge fan since I was a kid.
Well, also, I mean, it's a cartoon of a cat.
Exactly.
So it's like, fine, she's a little girl that lives in London, but it's like
why break that news? Why like just shatter all of our childhood dreams?
It doesn't.
Don't even reveal this.
I mean, maybe if there's like a. What was it? Sanrio.
Yeah, Sanrio.
Mm-hmm. And they used to have, weirdly enough, when I was young, in the mall, like that was like closest to where I lived, there was a Sunshine Station, which is a Hello Kitty like store, and that's what they called them at the time, or at least in my region, and it was like. I mean, Hello Kitty was everything.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, maybe Sunshine Station wasn't where I was. It was closer to where you grew up in San Jose.
Yeah, and there was a Sanrio.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Francisco, and I remember I'd go in there, and it was just like a dream come true.
Oh, yeah. I mean, to this day, I have plenty of Hello Kitty stuff.
Oh, I have a friend that has a Hello Kitty tattoo.
I mean, I'm not like really like wearing like a Hello Kitty t-shirt these days, but when I see one, I'm like, oh, that's cute.
Totally. Yeah, no, it's just totally like part of our childhood, like ingrained. I mean, I remember the excitement, the feeling. Even now, if I find Hello Kitty stickers, or like the pencils and like all the little things that you could get at a Hello Kitty shop. It brings me back immediately. It's just like,
oh, for sure. It's like it's a rare brand that I feel like is appropriate for me to like
as an adult
at any age. There are other things where I'm like, yeah. I mean, I used to like, I don't know,
not like SpongeBob.
I can't even really.
You're not like a big SpongeBob fan.
Well, I was a little too old for that, but yeah, I can't really think of another. Great example, but like Hello Kitty is sort of,
it's still cool.
If you're not into it, you're not into it. But if you are, I don't think it's weird to be an adult and still like it. In fact, back in the day, and I remember wanting to ask you about this because you're so much more of like a crafty person than I am. I had bought these like Hello Kitty like patches, like if you get like a hole in your pants, it's like put a patch on, pants or whatever. And I bought it was like a set of 4. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Like, Heather will probably know. And then I just never did anything with them. They're still in a box, in a closet in my house today. I'm like, one day I will put Hello Kitty patches on a pair of pants that I ripped a hole in that I don't want to throw away.
And it's funny. I have an old, sometimes I'll just like buy a little gift for someone because I think of them. And I have this friend coming up, Melissa, Sarah, and her husband.
Of course,
they're coming up this weekend, and she's the one that has a Hello Kitty tattoo on her ankle. Huge fan, and I got her something related a long time ago, and I kind of forgot about it. I just like put it in my closet, and it's a Hello Kitty thing. I'll snap a pic. It's super cute, But yeah, so that's the big news from here. And, I wanted to mention that we have a wonderful new patron, and her name is Vera. I really like that name, by the way. I do too. It's kind of old school. I've always liked Vera. But it's a really cool name, and you don't hear it that much anymore. So welcome to the show, Vera. We're so happy to have you. And and y'all out there, if you have anything to comment on, I mean, I'm sure there's lots of questions y'all have about Sarah's new refrigerator. Email us at hi@havessuchagooddday.com.
Yeah. Don't expect too much from me because the fridge is cold, the water works, the ice. I haven't actually checked the ice if the ice maker is working because like it takes a while. Yeah. But when the plumber left this morning, I was like, and like ice will start working, and he's like, yeah, but like it's not gonna work like right now.
It needs to like build up
because it has to freeze, and I'm like, oh yeah, good point. But Vera, I always think of Norm from Cheers.
Totally.
Because you never saw Vera. Cheers, a sitcom.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone's like, what are you talking about?
Younger generations are like, what? I gotta IMDb that.
Yeah. Right. But yeah, that was like part of the joke is that, you know, everyone knew Norm at the bar and he would always like complain about like, oh, Vera's going to get mad at me about this or that. But you never saw Vera. She was just, you know, like the long suffering spouse.
Totally. Yeah. So I think I've got a day ahead of me of piles. See, this is what I do to myself. I leave. And I do a lot of work when I'm gone, but there's certain things I have to do. I've got my printer, I've got my desktop computer. It's hard for me to do like my QuickBooks and my spreadsheets and on my laptop. It's actually, I hate doing it. It's very tedious. So I have a long Friday ahead of me and probably going to work into the weekend a little bit before my friends show up on Sunday. So,
well, I'm glad that you had a couple days in the sunshine. You got out, you know, you got your vitamin D, very important for some of us more than others. You know, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to be in the sun. And other people are like, I'm telling you,
no. That's actually another thing. Thank you for bringing that up because I was talking, my sister is the same. She's like, I don't need, like the weather doesn't bother me like it bothers you. And I remember my mom used to get really bummed because she lived in Santa Cruz Mountains and it would get socked in with fog. And I remember she'd be so much happier on sunny days and she would just get down like through the winter. She'd just get affected by it. And I think maybe I inherited that from her because I don't need sunny days every day and I don't need 90-degree weather. I just want the light and I want a little bit of warmth. That being said,
we're all different. I mean, if I'm also, you know, in like blazing sun every day, so it's very easy for me to be like,
that's a lot.
I want fog. Please.
I get it.
Bring back the marine layer.
I really would. I can't deal with that either. Like 3-4 months of like scorching heat in LA is a tough one. I do. I feel for you.
I also, you know, living in San Francisco, not every, you know, San Francisco is known as Old Fog Town. And I lived there for so long. I mean, we both did. And there are days where it really is like
it's frustrating,
super foggy and like pretty cold.
And
you know, where you know everyone else is like, like having like sunny barbecues.
You know, San Francisco.
And at the same time, it never really bothered me that much. I would just there were also pockets of the city where or you know, cross a bridge and then all of a sudden it's like really, really hot. You know, I'd be like, I don't hate this. But other people would complain relentlessly, like, especially in the summer, like, where's the summer? It's like, girl, you're in the wrong city. And you just have to know that. It's not going to change. I mean, maybe climate change will change it eventually.
San Francisco's weather is like so much better now because of climate change. It's definitely warmer. I like, really? I check the forecast a lot and there's a lot more like high 60s, 70s days in San Francisco than there used to be. Because I don't think that we used to have a lot of 70-degree days. It was usually like top out, you know, in the 60s. I guess when we lived there. It was funny because I was talking about old San Francisco to the bartender who must have been in her late 20s, early 30s, and just talking to her about early 2000s San Francisco and how cool it was, you know. Back in the day, you know, the club scene and it was still really kind of gritty. And it was funny. It made me feel a little old because I was kind of talking about an era. You know, I was talking about like a chunk of time. It was a trip anyway.
Oh yeah. So this just, you know, as we're wrapping up here, when I went to the grocery store Sprouts, by the way. Shout out to Sprouts. I love Sprouts. This is pre-fridge. Well, the fridge had melted down, but I didn't know that yet. So this was my big, I had a lot of groceries. And I was like super proud of myself. I was like, all right, here's what we're making tonight. Here's what we're making tomorrow night, blah, blah, blah. And I had a bottle of wine in all of that stuff. And so as I'm checking out, the grocer is like, oh, do you have your ID on you? And I'm kind of fumbling through my purse. And she's like, just tell me your birth date. It's fine. I just have to, I have to enter it in. She's like obviously looking at me being like, you're not 20. Yeah. we both know this. So I was like, 10, 12, 76. And she was like, oh my gosh, we have the same birthday. And I'm like, no way. And she's like, yeah, but I was born in 1997. And and that doesn't, it's like, yeah, she's, mid late 20s. That's not weird, but my reaction, I was like, whoa. And she kind of looked at me like, what's wrong with that? And I'm like, sometimes I don't know. It just hits me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah, it does.
Like somebody was born, like you were a baby, a newborn person in 1997. Like I remember 1997 quite well. I was in college. So anyway, all right. Well, that's enough of that. Everyone is the age that they are, and we're all lucky to be here on this.
To be alive, really.
On this floating planet of ours.
This is so true. On that note, join us, become a patron. We implore you. We need you. We need you on this crazy ride called life. And don't forget that small talk is the glue that binds us all together and the armor that shields us from each other's darkest thoughts. Never forget that.
Wow. That was very poignant, Heather. If anything struck a chord with you, do send us a note, hi@havesuchagoodday.com. We also, for our patrons who join us at the $5 or anything more level, we've got our Discord. We love our Discorders. Shout out to all of you as well. And we'll be back doing it all again
whether you
next
like it or
week
not.
For episode 247. Yeah, no, we're coming in hot to your kitchen. We're going to fix your fridge.
Spread the good word about Have Such a Good Day. Stay weird, stay sexy, peace and love. I'll be Heather forever. Have such a good day.
And I will be Sarah, and that's, I don't know. I don't have a good run. Okay.
Have such a good day.
Have such a good day.